morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the March 24th meeting of the NPCA. At this time, we're getting some feedback or something. Good morning, everyone. That's better. We're just getting a little technical difficulties here. I'd like to welcome everyone to the March 24th meeting of the NPCA. At this time, I'd like to read the land acknowledgement. The Niagara Peninsula watershed is situated within the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Adirondack, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaty 38381 and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, the watershed is home to many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. Throughout the 2021-2031 strategic plan, we reconfirm our commitment to shared stewardship of natural resources and deep appreciation of Indigenous culture and history in the watershed. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to have a roll call.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start a roll call beginning with Member Clark. I'll circle back because he may be logging on. Member Cridland.
Here.
Chair Foster is absent. Member Grant.
Present.
Member Hewson.
I'm here.
Member O'Neill.
I am here.
And Member Seaborn.
I'm here.
Member Tattison.
I'm here.
And of course, Vice Chair, Mr. Chairman Metcalf.
Present. And we'll get approval of the agenda. Could I have Member Cridland and Member Grant? Second it. Thank you.
Sorry, we have 3 items to add, 3 items of correspondence.
Pardon me, we have an amendment to the agenda. There are 3 items of correspondence that we need to receive. Can I have a motion to receive those? Member Hewson, second by Member Seaborn. All in favor of receiving? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Thank you. Are there any declarations of, I guess we have to approve the minutes, approve the agenda now. Okay. Okay, sorry, I got one step ahead there. All right. So now we need the approval of the amended agenda. Do we need a motion on that, Grant? Yes. So I'll need a motion on that. Member Hewson, second by Member Cridland. Thank you. So now we need a motion to adopt the, we've already done that. So are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, we can continue. Thank you. So we need approval of the minutes of the annual general meeting dated February 17th, 2023 for approval. I have Member O'Neill, can you move that?
Moved.
Thank you. And second, could I have Member Tatterson? Member Grant, could you? Thank you. So we don't have the chair's update. Chair sends his regrets. Now we have the correspondence. So, okay. So I need a motion now to receive all 4 pieces of correspondence. Member Grant? Second. Member Seaborn, thank you. Oh, Member Cridlin?
Just a point, I think, did you want to call, should we call the question on that as well, or it's okay?
Pardon me, so that's carried. Sorry, my mistake. And presentations. So we have a presentation today. Joshua Diamond, Manager, Watershed Monitoring and Reporting, NPCA Watershed Report Card. This presentation corresponds to Agenda Item 9.1. Okay, go ahead, Joshua.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Vice Chair and NPCA board members. Thank you for allowing this opportunity to provide you an update and overview of the 2023 NPCA Watershed Report Card. Next slide, please. Conservation authorities have a long history in monitoring. Since their inception, conservation authorities have been collecting and analyzing local environmental data and using this information to guide development of natural resource programs, projects, and plans. Growing demand for information about the state of Ontario's environment and a desire to demonstrate accountability has led the conservation authorities to develop and publish watershed report cards, communicating on the health of the environment to the public. Different levels of the environment, NGOs, and academia is key to protecting the integrity of our watersheds. Monitoring and reporting on watershed conditions becomes even more important as various stressors such as climate change and urbanization have growing impacts on our natural resources. Work began on the watershed report cards in 2003, where guidelines were developed through a pilot project undertaken by the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority, and Conservation Ontario. And based on this work, formal guidelines were developed with a standardized set of watershed health indicators and an evaluated methodology that could be utilized by all 36 conservation authorities in Ontario. Conservation authorities publish watershed report cards once every 5 years. The first set of collective watershed report cards were published in 2013, followed by another set in 2018 using these guidelines. The next set of Conservation Authority watershed report cards were published on March 22nd, 2023. Next slide, please. In 2023, 83% or 30 of 36 conservation authorities produced the watershed report card. All conservation authority report cards reported on 3 watershed indicators: surface water quality, forest conditions, and groundwater quality. The NPCA used the data from 35 of its groundwater monitoring sites and 58 of its surface water quality monitoring sites for our report card. GIS datasets were used to evaluate forest conditions. Datasets that were used were from the year 2017 to 2021 for our analysis, and grades were assigned from A to F for the NPCA watersheds based on standardized scoring from Conservation Ontario's guidelines. Next slide, please. The NPCA has been an active participant in the Watershed Report Card Initiative and has produced report cards in 2012 and 2018 that were both well received, and you might have seen them over the years. Next slide, please. This next slide shows the results of the NPCA watershed indicators for 2023. The left panel shows surface water quality. 3 indicators were used to calculate the surface water quality grade. These include the nutrient total phosphorus, the bacteria E. coli, and a benthic macroinvertebrate community score, which was used as an assessment of aquatic health. Based on our analysis, an overall grade of D, or poor water quality, was assigned to surface water quality. Since 2018, grades of most subwatersheds remain the same as a D grade, and this can be seen by the light orange color on that map on the screen. High phosphorus, E. coli, and high E. coli concentrations from non-point source pollution like faulty septic systems, agricultural and livestock runoff, as well as point sources like combined sewer overflow and urban stormwater continue to lower our grades. The middle panel shows the forest conditions. Two forest condition indicators are used to calculate the grades for our watershed. And these include percent forest cover and percent forest interior. Since 2018, the overall grade for forest condition improved slightly from D to C- for fair conditions. However, this is represented by the light green color you might be able to see on the center map. However, this grade change is likely due to our updated and more accurate mapping rather than an actual forest improvement. Approximately 17% of the NPCA's watershed land base is forest covered and is lower than the 30% cover required by conservation science for a healthy watershed. The highest grades were found in the less developed south portion of the watershed. The right panel shows the groundwater quality grade. Since 2018, the overall grade for groundwater remained consistent at a B, or good. Low grades for chloride were noted at some of our monitoring wells, and these were attributed to natural conditions of the groundwater, where salts have been dissolved from the bedrock formations over time, raising those concentrations. The high nitrate concentrations found in 2 of our monitoring wells are due to local agricultural activities at these sites. Overall, the grades of the NPCA watershed indicators are comparable to the grades found in the GTA in southwestern Ontario. Next slide, please. In addition to the watershed indicators, the report card is flexible enough to allow us to incorporate additional information, such as this watershed features map that's on the top left or on the left. The panel highlights the unique natural ecosystems that are found in the NPCA watershed. We also have another panel, the report card, that provides a list of actions where individuals, communities, and agencies can undertake and enhance our watershed. And the report card also provided us an opportunity to highlight our corporate programs and initiatives that the NPCA is taking to improve grades and overall watershed health. Next slide, please. Conservation Ontario provides excellent support for the Watershed Report Card initiative. They provide watershed report card templates and supporting information. In addition, Conservation Ontario has 2 websites that support this report card project. The first one on the left is the Watershed Checkup website on the left, which is really the hub for the whole Watershed Report Card initiative. The second product is a storybook map, or story map, which is called the State of Ontario's Watersheds. It's an excellent product that rolls up the Conservation Authority data and provides a province-wide lens on the Conservation Authority's report cards and a summary of the province's results. Next slide, please. Now, I don't have all kinds of time to go through the story map, but here's a quick peek of, because I wanted to show this, of an example of what's on that story map. This is how the story map is using the Conservation Authority's watershed data at the provincial level. So this map shows the A and B grades of the watersheds for surface water grades in our province. And these grades reflect the less developed and natural landscape of the watersheds in the province. So this is sort of a Grey Sauble and sort of to the east of the GTA, and then up into the northern CA, as you can see the better grades. And if you scroll down the storybook map, so the next slide, please. And this is where we come into focus, and you can see how we relate to the grading that you would find in the GTA in southwestern Ontario, where you have poor water quality, which is reflected by the more development and more agriculture. More people live in this section, so we have greater stress on our resources. So I encourage you all to visit the Conservation Ontario's story map to learn more about the province-wide results and key issues and challenges being experienced by conservation authorities across their watersheds. Next slide, please. And for a communication strategy, the conservation authorities across Ontario used World Water Day, which is on March 22nd, this past Wednesday, to launch the Watershed Report Card Initiative. The NPCA also distributed the report cards via email to our municipal partners, other government agencies, and other NPCA partners and stakeholders. It's also available on our website. We have Conservation Ontario has a lot of stuff on their website as well. We've done media releases to get the information out, and also a social media campaign. Next slide, please. And this project was a lot of work, and I just want to acknowledge my colleagues who put in so much work to get this project done, lots of internal staff, and also the Conservation Ontario staff. There's some great staff there who provided all the resources for the conservation authorities to develop these watershed report cards. It's a really good project. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Joshua. Are there any questions, comments? Questions? Thank you, Joshua. Great. So we need a motion to receive the presentation. Motion by Member Grant, second by Member Hewson. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Thank you. So next. So next up is Chanda Sharma, CAO, the NPCA. Progress on strategic plan, KPI and 2023 service area priorities. Thank you, Chandra. When you're ready. Yep.
Good morning. I am pleased to provide an overview of NPCA priority setting and reporting process as I have a good relationship with the microphone for some reason. Okay, I'll start again. Good morning. Yeah. I'm pleased to provide everyone an overview of NPCA priority setting and reporting process established through the new strategic plan. And I will also highlight some of the 2023 priorities that we have set for this year. Give me a second to see. Okay. Great. So for context, this presentation augments the year in review video that you saw earlier at the AGM and the annual reports that we publish. You'll see an annual report coming in at the May meeting, and last year's annual report is already posted online. Both of these documents and the document and the video provide a much broader picture of the breadth and depth of work being completed through various service areas and programs at the NPCA. Let me start with the strategic plan. Our 10-year strategic plan established the roadmap for priority setting and actions through 6 overarching priorities, 21 goals, and measurable actions. These strategic priorities include healthy and climate resilient watershed, sustainable growth, connecting people to nature, partner of choice, organizational excellence, and fiscal sustainability. This plan was being developed at the same time as the legislative changes on Conservation Authority Act were being introduced. This presented both an opportunity and several challenges for us. Opportunities in a sense that some of the simple, straightforward requirements could be integrated within these priorities for seamless implementation. Challenges were many, as several aspects of the proposed legislative changes were in proposal stages at the time, and there was a bit of uncertainty in determining the legislative requirements. I think the approach we took at the time served us well, And we were able to effectively deliver on those transition requirements coming out of the CA Act with limited resources. I'm particularly proud of the high standard of performance measures and reporting framework that we have created as part of this process. This slide provides an example of how each strategic direction and associated goal is linked to key performance indicators. KPI, a key performance indicator, is then linked to a series of measures and metrics provided as an example on the right side of this slide. So each KPI in the strategic plan with the goal, each goal has a number of measures and metrics that staff follow in their day-to-day work, and they collect that data on an annual basis to report on progress that we have made. So for instance, the goal on evidence-based decision-making is a logical KPI for the goal is filling all data gaps and having a robust data collection program. You just heard the report card presentation. We will know that we have made progress when we have filled a number and type of data gaps. We are keeping this data current and relevant for our municipal partners and other stakeholders to use as needed and for decision makers. Now there are several we now have a well-aligned planning, priority setting, budgeting, and reporting process established through 4-year service areas and range of programs within each of these service areas, which I will cover in the next title. First step in the process was to realign the organization so staff can see how their work aligns with the strategic priorities and goals. An annual work planning and priority setting process starts with the CAO, myself, and trickles down to different levels of the organization. Priorities are primarily guided by the strategic plan with some flexibility to pivot and change course as needed due to ongoing legislative changes and other unforeseen demands and opportunities. And that's a standard kind of standard process that most organizations follow. Annual and long-term budgeting and business planning is also aligned with strategic priorities now. Reporting on strategic plan is primarily through the annual reports and year-end review videos provided on this slide as a link for further details. I don't have time this morning to go over all of those accomplishments, but if you have some leisure time, these are pretty good documents to review for new board members. Our annual budget process over the past few years have not only accounted for service level gaps, but also our strategic plan has addressed a range of CA Act transition requirement through pivoting that I talked about, reporting, and full cost accounting as we achieved internal efficiency on many of these service areas by realigning ourselves. So let me briefly speak to service areas. One of the changes in the updated Conservation Authority Act included a regulation called Regulation 678/21 related to CA Act programs, Conservation Authority programs and services. The regulations establish 3 types of service categories. Category 1 is mandatory, Category 2 municipal services, and Category 3 board determined program funded through self-generated revenue, such as our parks, or levy subject to cost apportionment with participating municipalities with agreement among all municipalities. NPCA service areas and associated programs and services are now well aligned with the programs and services regulation. Within each of these service areas, for instance, if you look at natural hazard management, water resources management, conservation authority lands and conservation parks, and corporate services and corporate administration. Within these service areas, we have a range of programs and services. To give you an example, the first component, natural hazard management, will have flood and erosion control, development planning, and all kinds of other programs within this category. A good example for watershed resource management would be land management planning and land securement strategies. So in the budget book that was provided to you as part of your orientation, we included a detailed documentation of these programs for your consideration. And going forward in our long-term budget and business planning documents, you will see a lot of programs and service area profiles that will include detailed information on what that program offers, what are the objectives, long-term, short-term goals, and deliverables for each year with associated budgets. So that's the budget planning, long-term budget planning we are currently working on this year. So let me now briefly talk about 2023 priorities. As you can see from this slide, there are several resulting from Conservation Authority Act transition. The first one, we are currently in discussions with municipal staff on Category 2 and 3 services that must be executed through a formal MOU or service level agreement by the end of 2024. So this is a major piece of work we have in the next 6 or 7 months to achieve that, so we are in conformity with the Conservation Authority Act. We also have to transition our budgets based on the new levy regulation, and there aren't very many changes to the regulation itself. However, there will be internal realignment to make sure that the budget, the way the budget is laid out, conforms with the new regulation. Some of the other requirements we have is conservation area land inventory and strategy initiation this year. This will lay the framework for when and how our conservation area management plans are updated in the next 10-15 years and the whole cycle of updating these. The next one is a watershed resource management strategy. This was part of the mandated services, and we will be launching the planning for this strategy this year. The idea is NPCA has developed various watershed strategies or plans in the past, all need to be updated. So we are trying to bring all of those under the umbrella of this watershed resource management strategy, which will be started this year and completed within the next few years. Operational and asset management plans for flood control infrastructure that is owned by the Conservation Authority. And ice management plan, this is a requirement of the province this year, which we will be undertaking. It will be easier for us to do the asset management plan because we already have an asset management plan in the works. So we have a pretty good documentation and understanding of our flood infrastructure. Off note on this slide is the Provincial Conservation Authority Act changes. There's one more component that is unfolding and coming out in the next few, I would say, months. I'm hearing it's coming out in the spring, so hopefully in the next 2 months somewhere, because the province wants to align everything going forward, July onwards, when Bill 109 comes, the expedited timelines come into effect. So there's two more components, which is the Conservation Authority Act Section 28 regulation and Conservation Authority Act Section 29 regulation. Section 28 regulation deals with the planning and permitting side of Conservation Authority work. This is the biggest piece of the legislation that's coming out, or regulation that's coming out. And Section 29 deals with our conservation park, how parks are managed, enforcement provisions within parks, Both these regulations, what the province is trying to do is take the 36 different regulations and combine them into one Conservation Authority Act regulation. So when that comes out in the next 2 weeks, we will have a lot of work to figure out what that means for us and where within our various policies and procedures we have to make changes to make sure we transition effectively within the provincial timelines and requirements. It's a lot of work. So then the last 2 slides are dealing with the strategic plan priorities for 2023 under various strategic themes of the strategic plan. This is a lot of information here for your consideration. I'm not going to go through all of this, but just to give you a few examples, is an expanded monitoring program under healthy and climate resilient watershed. We've laid the groundwork for this with Josh managing that team under Director Yates, and their job this year will be to look at what that program looks like, where the data gaps are, and what we need to collect in the coming years. Climate adaptation plan. We started that last year, and we'll be completing that this year. Natalie Green is leading that. Again, under the direction of Director Yates. I mean, some of these priorities that are listed here started last year and will be carried out over the span of 2 to 3 years. Some of the things we will start this year, and they will be completed over the span of next 2 to 3 years. Conservation Authority Conservation Area Land Strategy. We completed that this last year, and this is the year where we start implementation. You will see land acquisition and disposition policy coming to the board this year, along with other different requirements of that strategy. We are starting to roll out the implementation plan as well. I think that's probably enough given our time. There's lots of things here that I would encourage you to read this over your spare time. The next one, next 3 priorities in the strategic plan are partner of choice, organizational excellence, financial sustainability. I think what we are working on this year is a digital transformation plan, which we're looking internally within the organization to align all of our software and databases and things that we use internally, and laying out a groundwork of what our digital needs are in the next few years to deliver on our services effectively. You've already seen the updates to the policy. There will be some more coming later as per Section 28 I just talked about. And there is a very extensive, I talk about KPIs. I personally feel the biggest KPI for any organization is staff. Keeping our staff happy with a good internal culture is key to the success of our strategic plan. So last year we developed a talent management strategy, and we will be implementing that from an HR perspective. And there are various components to that talent management program that will be rolled out, including staff training, succession planning, all kinds of things. We're also working on completing the asset management plan this year. We've established a database, long-term budget planning, and a variety of activities under our parks and program team, including a long-term strategy for our education outreach and cultural heritage program. So there's lots going on there, and we have a pretty good team that is taking leadership in implementing various components of this plan. Last but not the least, so the board knows, our Conservation Foundation has made significant progress over the past 2 years, and they are now ready to launch a campaign for major giving and capital campaign. We have a standing MOU with the foundation where we provide finance, marketing, and governance support to the foundation. Two of our board members, Member Houston, and today we'll be confirming, or we confirmed, Member Cridland will be confirming today. They have been our representatives on the foundation, and they've done quite a bit of work, and I think we'll be recruiting more members. We are recruiting a staff, a development officer, and we'll be aligning some of these special events to see how we can raise the profile and work of the foundation so people in Niagara give for conservation and land securement and other priorities that we have set for the foundation. With that, I will end my presentation and take any questions.
Thank you, Chandra. And questions? Member Houston?
Thank you, Chair. You're doing a great job, by the way. You're welcome. Thank you, Chandra. Always happy to get an update from our very talented CAO. Strategic plan priorities for 2023. You've got a lot here. There's a lot of work. And we also heard you say that there's some regulatory changes that we're going to have to adapt to. So we've got a jam-packed year here. I'm wondering, I hope we can accomplish them all, but I'm wondering, is there an opportunity to maybe think a little innovatively around some of these projects? And I'm looking specifically at the STEP program in terms of perhaps, is there another committee that can help advance the work of this so that it doesn't all land on staff's shoulders, and we can maybe incorporate a couple more hands on deck to try and move some of these projects forward?
Absolutely, that's a great suggestion. Always looking for collaboration, partnerships, and other willing partners who can take on some of the work, so we don't have to that. Efficiencies of scale, Member Houston, we'll certainly be looking into that. We have been doing that over the past 2 years also, because no one organization, when you're dealing with a watershed that has multiple stakeholders, and multiple agencies working together. Some of these activities that I talked about and outcomes are collective outcomes. So everybody has to have a say or in designing some of the programs and taking them forward. So yes, we'll certainly be open to that. We have been open to that, and we'll be looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. And just another, I actually like to make a comment. Just speaking to the importance of the foundation, it does provide us with an alternate revenue source for some of our programming, but also the Conservation Authority relies a lot on volunteers to help, again, to the idea that many hands make for light work. So in supporting some of the events, we can help broaden our exposure with potential interested parties who can help us get the work done, go further with some of our objectives. So I just want to encourage the board to support the foundation and try to be as involved in some of the activities that we plan as possible to help us make it as effective as possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Member Houston. Are there any more questions, discussion? Great. Thanks, Chandra. Excellent. So we need a motion to receive the presentation. We have Member Taddison. Move that motion. And second, Member Seaborn, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried, thank you. I don't see any delegations, consent items, discussion items. We've gone through 9.1. I believe we just revisit that.
There's a recommendation in the report to be adopted.
So we recommend that to be adopted as presented. I have Member Grant move that, And Member Houston, second it. Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. Thank you. So we had 9.2 under discussion item, report number FA-07-23, Wainfleet Bog Committee Terms of Reference for approval. And Director Yates, would you like to speak on that, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Before you today is a revised terms of reference for the Wainfleet Bog Committee. Due to the changes to the Conservation Authorities Act and the updates we made to our administrative bylaw, which came through this board at our last meeting, we did revisit the terms of reference for what was the Wainfleet Bog Advisory Committee. Recognizing that this is a more hands-on committee, we are proposing to change it from an advisory committee to an ad hoc committee made up of members of the community, research, science, and interested parties such as our Indigenous partners, agricultural community, etc., to assist us with developing the long-term management plan for the Wainfleet Bog. And also currently we're looking at the monitoring of the water levels in the bog and potential impacts on important species at risk and other habitat that's within the bog itself. So before you today are those revisions. Due to the changes in the Conservation Authorities Act, this committee wouldn't require a board member. However, we are recognizing in the terms of reference that the chair and vice chair are ex officio and can be invited to the committee or can attend as needed. With our previous board representative, which was Jack Halinga, we do want to recognize his continued support and contributions. He's been an excellent resource to the committee, providing advice from community advisory as also from his technical expertise. We'd like to recognize him ongoing for this term of the committee as a citizen member. At the end of the term of this committee, which will be in 2026, there will be an open call for membership, similar to what is currently going on with our Public Advisory Committee, with a call out to new membership. So we will follow that process. Before you today is requesting approval of the new terms of reference and moving forward with their important work. Thank you.
Right. Are there any questions? Member Cridlin?
Thank you through you, and thank you for the report. Could you just remind us how full that committee is now, or if there will be a public call out for this particular committee at this time? Thank you.
Thank you through the chair. At this time, all positions are full at this time. So the next call out would be if somebody steps down from the committee or there is a vacancy, then there would be another call out for membership. And of course, at the end of the term, there would be a new call for membership.
Thank you. Any more discussion, questions? Thanks, Director Yates. Very good. So, having seen the report, FA-0723, Wainfleet Bog Committee Terms of Reference for approval. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Thank you. So we have report number FA-09-23, official redesignation of beach closings beneficial use impairment. And, whoops, sorry. Natalie, could you take that for us, please?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Chair. So the report before you is to inform the board about a tremendous milestone for the NPCA and its partners that are working together to improve water quality and ecosystem health in the Niagara River. I help lead and coordinate a special program at the NPCA called the Niagara River Remedial Action Plan, which has been ongoing since the 1980s. Queens Royal Beach in the town of Niagara-on-the-Lake was the very last and only beach on the Niagara River that was considered a public beach and had severe water quality issues. In 2021, a report came to the board indicating that all of the collaborative monitoring, that remedial actions had all been completed, and that we were seeking public input and community input on our recommendation to remove the indicator from the remedial action plan. That was submitted. We received some support. We had a comprehensive engagement plan, which is provided to you, some of those results in the report that is before you. We received support from the community, from Indigenous partners, as well as from the United States of America, the two stakeholders on that side that are responsible for the area of concern as well. From there, we submitted the report to Canada and Ontario, who have the official ability to remove the indicator from the Niagara River. And I'm extremely pleased to say to you today that we received correspondence from Environment and Climate Change Canada on March the 1st to officially confirm that they have reviewed our report and agree with the recommendation. And we are able to officially say that the indicator is no longer impaired. It is a tremendous environmental milestone for all of the partners working together to improve the Niagara River, for our communities, for our people that are using the beach and benefiting from the water services that the Niagara River provides. So just some really great news, and happy to take any questions. And I wanted to take a moment to also thank the town of Niagara-on-the-Lake, who is a key partner in this project, for their commitment to protect and restore water quality in the Niagara River. Thank you.
Great, thanks Natalie, excellent news for sure. Are there any questions? Comments? Oh, Member Cridlin?
Thank you through you, Chair. Again, just congratulations on that milestone. Just how long did it take and how much effort goes into a success story like that? And again, I just also wanted, the shout out to Niagara-on-the-Lake is tremendous for being able to be partner to this. Thank you.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So the Remedial Action Plan program has been ongoing since 1987. So many, many years. This particular project has, we really started focusing on it in 2015 with some eDNA sampling, trying to figure out the point source, what the issue was. So, you know, quite a bit of time, almost 10 years of work, and almost $1 million of just remediation efforts, not including all of the staff time. All of the different partners that were at the table. We had represented from the MECP, from Environment Canada, the Niagara region, and from the NPCA. Josh and I participated in those conversations as well. So a lot of time, a lot of effort, and so we're really, really pleased and hoping to come back to the board with more progress updates for the Remedial Action Plan, because we're making tremendous progress to delisting the Niagara River.
Thanks. Are there any more questions, discussion? So,
Taddison is giving a thumbs up.
oh, Member Taddison?
I just wanted to say congratulations, and having to spend a decade on one project, it's like I just had I'm hesitant to think of what I was doing a decade ago, you know, running around with kids at recess, and now here I am 10 years later. So again, like, to keep that focus for that long, I just want to say kudos to the team, and I'm proud to be part of it now. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Member Taddison. Any more questions, discussions, comments? Seeing none. So I'll need a mover and seconder to get this on the floor. Could I have Member Taddison move that, please? And Councillor or Member O'Neill?
Second.
Thank you. So all those in favor of accepting report FA 0923, official redesignation of beach closings, beneficial use impairment? So all in favor? Calling vote, all in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. So we'll move on to report Number FA 10-23, member appointment to NPCA Finance Committee for approval. So,
Do you want us to say something?
well, we don't really need to, I don't think so. So we're all good with that. I just need a mover to accept it. So can I have a mover? Member Grant, second. Member Hewson. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Thank you, that's carried unanimously. So we'll go into committee reports. Seeing none. Motions, none. Notice of motions, none. Is there any new business? New business? Member Cridland.
Thank you, through Chair. I just noticed that the Great Lakes Lake-wide Action Management Plan. Now, this is an international, so building off the RAP work, but they are now open for public input for the development of the Lake-wide Action Management Plan. So again, just something for the public to perhaps be aware of. It is in Lake Erie, that is in our watershed. So just FYI, thank you.
Great, thanks for bringing that to our attention, Member Cridland. Member Hewson.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering if we can get an update on how the Trees for All program is going. I know I've seen a lot of promotion around it, and I'm hoping that there's been a great uptake, so I'm looking for an update.
Okay, Director Yates, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. We've had a phenomenal amount of interest since the campaign started, so much so that we've extended it for another month. So working with our municipal partners, they've identified lands that they own that would be suitable for replanting, as well as the uptake from the members of the public. Altogether at this time, we have about 300 hectares identified for potential future planting areas. And as a comparator, over the last few years, through our grant restoration program, we've been successful to restore about 100 hectares. So that's the scale and magnitude that we could be looking at through the Trees for All 2 Billion Trees program. So it's been a great success. Shout out to Jeff Vercade, our Senior Manager of Watershed Strategies, who's been at the helm of this project and promoting it through radio interviews and newspaper interviews, and our marketing and comms team who've been busy with the social media campaign, printed ads, and there's also going to be a mail out, I believe like a postcard effort to encourage people as well. So it's quite a bit of effort, and we're seeing a lot of return on this. Next steps would be going into a grant application for the tree planting component. So we're ramping up to hit that June next call for funding that we're anticipating. So we're on track moving forward with the program.
Follow-up? Follow-up question?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so in terms of 300 hectares, what does that translate into a certain number of trees, or?
That's a very good question, and I wouldn't have that calculation, but we can definitely find out from the team and provide some of those stats. But beyond just the tree planting, our restoration team does look at other components in terms of the wetland creation and other restoration efforts. So fully combined, we're really, as relating to Joshua's presentation, we're really looking at collective efforts to try to bring our watershed into more of that coverage, of that 30% that we're all striving collectively to work towards. And this is one of those projects that's bringing everybody together to strive towards that goal.
That's great, thank you.
Thanks, Director Yates. And yes, that's a very worthwhile project for sure. It's a good news day here at the NPCA with the our beaches and watershed, and also the tree planting as well. So are there any other new business discussion items? Nothing? Seeing none? Okay, we'll move into closed, I guess. 9:55 a.m. in accordance with Section 10.1 of the NPCA Administrative Bylaw for discussion on proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land. Thank you. Oh, I need a mover. Member Cridlin, seconder, Member Grant. Thank you.